We can only hope. We can only hope.
A few months ago, I had the opportunity to visit Quadra Island and stay on a property that was created by my girlfriend's grandparents. The island was very alluring, and like always, I brought along more camera equipment than any one boy needs, but it was worth it for the purpose of documenting. With a daunting 15.5-hour drive ahead of us, Vanessa, our friend Lauren, and I departed our hometown. We drove in pitch black darkness for 2 hours until we passed Banff National Park. Unfortunately, with the light came some icy road conditions. This time, we made it through okay. That would not be the case for the rest of our journey though. Thankfully, we made it all the way to the ferry that takes you from mainland BC to Vancouver Island. This would be the first of 2 ferries required to get to Quadra. After the second ferry, the sun went down very quickly. Much faster than it came up, it seemed. We arrived at the property very late and I didn't film anything. The night we arrived, the winds were crazy, somewhere from 80 to 90 kilometers an hour, which would be alright, except that we were just a little more than a hop, skip, and a jump away from the ocean and surrounded by old-growth trees that shook all night long. It made that sleep a little restless. The next morning, the wind remained authoritative. Our only connection to the outside world was this little cell phone receptor booster. It was deemed absolutely useless due to the weather, but it was oddly freeing. We ate some breakfast and suited up to see what it was like outside. We found ourselves face to face with the power that is the ocean, capable of moving thousands of pounds of deadfall with ease down the shoreline. I did not want to go for a swim. Not there, at least. The creek that I was told was usually a little trickle beside the road came down like a full waterfall. We would find ourselves coming back to this waterfall later when the power on the property went out. Enamored by the local fungi, what a better way to explore an unknown sludge than to poke it with a stick.
It's like Jello. Ew. It looks like apricot jam.
I bet its resemblance to apricot jam probably ends at its appearance. At this point, we decided to go on an adventure into the small shopping district on the island, which consisted of little more than a pharmacy, a grocery store, and a pizza parlor. You know, all the essentials of life. Off to the side of this shopping district were these two cheeky little Japanese imported cars. I had to photograph them because I'd never seen vehicles so unique. Behind and across the road from these two beauties lay a graveyard of sorts. Not your normal graveyard for people, but one rather for old trucks. In my typical fashion, I did a wee little bit of trespassing to snap some photos, this time thankfully without getting caught. At some point on one of our treks to get groceries, we saw this couple walking their donkeys. I'd never seen donkeys in real life before outside of a zoo, so I took the liberty to snap some photos of them. Also, they let us pet them, which was so incredibly nice. All these donkeys wanted to do was eat some grass. The grass on the other side of the road was indeed greener for these donkeys. Once we made it back, I loaded my Mamiya 645 with some expired slide film, Velvia 50. I've never shot slide film before, and I was a little bit nervous, seeing as this was slide film and 50 ISO and expired, and it was supposed to be rainy this week. Through the rest of that night and the following morning, the wind was a constant reminder that we are weak to the powers of the earth. It showed us that very clearly by taking away the power the next morning. Unfortunately, before talking to anybody and noticing that the power was out, the first thing I did that morning was go to the restroom. Unfortunately, that meant the massive shit I took did not want to flush. Obviously, I am kidding. Who poops first thing in the morning? Alas, I still needed to make my morning pee-pee go bye-bye, so off to the creek we went. I sent Vanessa in with the bucket, so I wouldn't run the risk of getting my only pair of pants that I brought wet. Once the wind had subsided a little bit, we went on a journey and visited Mayhew. He's a driftwood Sasquatch. And he quickly stole Vanessa's heart. I don't know if it was just his abnormally large features or his charismatic nature, but I felt like we had to keep moving quickly before Ness fell in love and left me to live forever in his woody embrace. All jokes aside, the sculptor that made this Sasquatch has an Instagram. It's @AdriftedCreations, and he does indeed make more than home-wrecking Sasquatches. The following morning, we decided to head into the town of Campbell River to check out the thrift shops for that day. It required a short ferry to cross. I didn't film much, but I took some pictures, and I got this really cool hat for $1. Vanessa's older sister, Amara, decided that an old military ammunition container looked rather intriguing at one of the stores, so she decided to purchase it. Vanessa's dad, Trevor, helped her carry it down the street, and I thought it was rather amusing watching the two of them tote it back to the car. With the cloud cover breaking and the sun slightly peeking its way through the clouds, I decided to blast through my roll of Velvia 50, the aforementioned slide film. We decided to go down to the beach to scour it and see what it had to offer, but first, I took a picture of Trevor's woodpile. What a nice stack of wood, I said to myself while I fired the shutter.
$4. Beachcombers.
Stop littering. Stop, wait. Stop littering. Please.
The beachcombing was lovely, and at the very end of the beach, before it wrapped around a corner, I saw this adorable little rock with birds sitting on it, sitting in the water. I decided to run over there and try and capture them, not actually like as if they were Pokemon, but capture them in the essence of taking a photo of them. Anyway, I was stuck with my Mamiya 645's 80mm lens, which is an equivalent of about a 50mm and not very ideal for shooting wildlife. Here's what I got anyway. During our beach comb, I came across this rock that was perfectly split in half, like a bagel that was not quite cut all the way through, so I decided to smash it on the rocks, and lo and behold, it opened up, and I think I found myself a fossil. Maybe? I'm not quite sure. What are your thoughts? Trevor, not needing to prove that he was a man of ingenuity, did so anyways, by starting a fire with completely soaked wood using his trusty blowtorch. It was kind of badass.
Little beachcombers.
But yeah, I did get...
A lot of garbage. And a little bit of rope.
Oh no, a lot of it. I'll pick it up. I already did. Oh, look at how big that was. Yeah. You need it? You sure?
Pretty darn sure on that one.
Then I found a bucket along the way.
With my roll of Velvia 50 shot, I decided to go back to some tried and true Portra 400 because I wasn't sure if the sun was going to hold out long enough for me to blast through some more rolls of Velvia. The last day the sun was out and in full force. Being landlocked Albertans, we decided to take this opportunity and go down to the beach for a swim, even though it was barely touching 10 degrees Celsius. We first stopped at a lighthouse with a beach covered in driftwood, free for the pickings. Driftwood, Ness and I would take home for a little project. After our brief lighthouse visit, we found our way to the spit. Don't ask me why it's called a spit, I have no idea. All I know is that the water in the spit was perfectly calm and serene. A great place for a bit of a swim. That swim basically concluded our island adventure, but the journey was far from over. We got an early start the next morning to catch the early ferries to make our trek home. We made a little bit of a pit stop in Nanaimo though to try some of the best place to get Nanaimo bars according to Food Network's website. They were pretty good. They didn't have shit on my grandma's Nanaimo bars though.
What happens if you take it 10 minutes before you leave? Oh.
Once we made it back onto the mainland, we didn't have to drive very far before Mother Nature reminded us that she was still in charge. She showed us that by dumping a pile of snow on the highways, making it impossible for semi-trucks to climb over this little pass. We didn't know that though. We got stuck in a traffic jam so long that we couldn't see where it started or where it finished. And we were on a highway with no cell phone service. After we waited for about 2 hours and moved maybe 5 kilometers up the road, we decided to hightail it back to the nearest town. That town had some wildlife and a hot springs, so it wasn't that bad. We stayed an extra 2 days there and then made it back safe and sound once everybody had cleared the way. That's basically a wrap for this video. This week on this island was so beautiful and amazing, and this video doesn't even touch the tip of the iceberg as to how much I enjoyed this time. So Vanessa, Amara, and Trevor, and the rest of the Lamb family, thank you guys so much for allowing me to hang out here for a little bit. I really appreciate it. It was so beautiful. And yeah, that's a wrap for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed. More life and blessings, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.